Hello, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Story Time of the Elite Dungeons. I think it's what I'm going to call it. I'm on Johnny. Joined to my right, we have Mod Sova. This is live, not in the past. Mod Sova, Mod Orion. To my left, Mod Chaose, Mod Alex, and Mod JT. Is that spot on? Yeah, I got that right. Okay, I got that right first time. That's good. And also we have some more artists. We'll be introducing them later on. There's a lot of us here, so we have a little bit of sharing the microphone. So hopefully we do a good job of passing the microphones around and making sure everyone gets to speak and be listened to. For example, Orion being prompted but not saying anything.
Hi.
There you go. So I'm just going to start this off quickly. So kind of just go through it. How are you guys all doing? You excited for this?
I'm pretty happy, pretty hype, yeah.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's getting there, it's rolling on.
Excitement, guys. Excitement.
Give him the microphone, please. Here we go.
You have
Good
to
start.
understand, right, that 15 minutes ago we were all working really hard on the project and we've just come down and we're still in like, maybe that bug fix didn't apply properly, or maybe the server won't start because we've made some stupid change or something. So everything's still rolling around in my head. I don't know about you guys.
Keep worrying, I just sent a job back to you.
Wait, no. You came down 5 minutes before me, right?
Uh-huh.
I sent it back. Ha.
Oh, okay.
All right, cool.
I'll be sure to send it back again once I get back upstairs.
QA, dev, we're like playing ping pong with jobs and code. So yeah, it does happen. I promise.
So to give you an idea of what's going to happen during the stream, essentially we're going to use this as an opportunity to kind of give you a rundown of the story of Elite Dungeons, how it came to be as a project, and we have perspectives, of course, from QA, dev, art, a little bit of animation as well. We kind of have the full circle, so to speak, which I think is awesome. Very rare we have this opportunity to do something like this, so let us just go into it. So let's kind of discuss the project itself. Like, where did it come from? How did it start off? Like, how long ago did it become a thing?
Well, I guess me and you were talking about stuff that we... Yeah, before... Well, so, okay, right. Now, Mod Curse, who's moved on to old school now, has spoken to me about this type of idea before. Like when we were doing Menaphos and we were talking about shifting tombs and stuff like that, and we were making the group system, we were like, oh, wouldn't it be really cool if we could use this type of stuff for... like, you know, combat gauntlets, some dungeons. And so we wrote one small paragraph on our like Confluence documentation system. Yeah. And it turned into a pitch when we started talking about it just before Christmas. We were like, whoa, what project should we do next? And nice one, dude.
Hello.
Yeah, and what we spent about a day or so writing up a document, getting a bunch of pictures together of what we could do with existing assets. So we were like, oh, what if we recycled all of this stuff and we made a... what were the original ideas? There was definitely Temple of Aminishi was one of the original ideas. We've got to be careful about what we say.
Yeah.
This is the problem.
I don't think we should say what the other two are.
Yeah, because actually, knowing what you guys are like, we could mention like the 10 different Elite Dungeon ideas, and you'll be like, "Oh, I want that one," and we're not making it. Yeah, not doing that. That's don't know. That's bad. Yeah, essentially, we took this pitch together, and we showed Davo, we showed Mod Osborne, and
they went wild.
Yeah. The crowd went mild. They really enjoyed the idea, primarily because they were like, oh, you know, this isn't going to cost us years and years of art time. And then when we started making it, they were like, do you know what?
Let's make new assets.
Yeah, let's make some really cool dragons and stuff. So yeah, it turned into like, yeah, right. When Mod Osborne gets his hand on something, it's like, oh, we must make it into something really cool.
Yeah, so in the start, we kind of planned it to be like a smallish thing, and it's just grown bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, you know, don't do one, do three. Have 2 environment artists for a little bit instead of 1. Have 2 character artists for a little bit instead of 1. And you know, we got Mod Luke F for 2 weeks or two sprints, maybe a month or so, on environment art as well. But that's why the Temple Abinishi looks so goddamn awesome. And we got Mod Damo on character, and he did a lot of work for like retexturing some existing assets and making some character models for us. He does some of the
He's done some of the rewards as well,
right? Yeah, cosmetics and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, it was here's an idea, and then Mod Joe and Mod Osborne basically assembled us together as a team, and we became like little elite dungeon avengers or something.
A lot of that time's been spent on systems as well. So as a result of that, we should be able to start shipping them out relatively quickly, like a lot faster than the first one anyway.
Definitely, the first one took up most of the time this year, and the second two not so much.
Yeah.
What? No.
Does anyone want to hear Shawnee speak?
No.
So I'm just before we kind of go into the nitty gritty, like as a pitch, i.e. overview, just for people who missed obviously last week's stream where we kind of went through it, played through it, and so on. In a nutshell, what is Elite Dungeons, and what are people going to be expecting with it?
Alternative dungeoneering. Woo! At a high level, that's basically it. So the three that we're making are all PVM boss gauntlets. So here is some stuff to fight, here is a boss, here is some more stuff to fight, here is a boss, in a nice environment. That doesn't mean that Elite Dungeons are all going to be that in the future, though, if we do more. And
you have an underlying story going throughout, so we're not trying to make a quest where you're just talking to people and doing a thing. We're telling you a story as you're running through defeating all these monsters and bosses, and you're uncovering things and finding things out as you're progressing through it. We're trying to cater to a fairly broad range of people, I think.
Yeah.
So kind of went through you two and the kind of the story of when and how you get there. I'm going to come up to this side now. Come to you first, Chaose. So obviously the project before this was Pieces of Hate. Is that correct?
I was on Pieces of Hate, yeah, with Mod Raven and Mod Rowley.
Yep. How did you end up coming onto Elite Dungeons?
Mod Jamesh.
Yep.
James H.
Jamesh. Mod Jamesh. Oh.
He's just had a baby, so obviously he's got to go look after his new offspring. So I was asked to come in as... It wasn't that funny. It was supposed to be a little joke in between there.
He's going to hate us.
Anyway, I was asked to step in to his place because we need a combat savvy guy, and we think you're the right guy for the job, and you're just about to finish Pirate Quest. So yeah, I moved across there. I don't know how far through dev we were already.
2 sprints, something like that.
Yeah, so like maybe a third of the way, if that. And yeah, I've just been cracking along with it, and chipping in with my input and feedback, and it's developed as such around that.
Awesome. Right. Mod Alex, Mod JT, going to come to you guys. So, first of all, just to give people go first, Alex. Let's come to you first. So, come to you first. Give us, just for people who might not know who you are, some of the projects you've worked on as like an overview.
Oh, hell. Okay.
All right, let's go.
Don't put me on the spot.
He's not been here very long, you know.
Let's go with your favourite then.
Oh, my favourite project. Okay. I don't know. Eastern Lands. I really enjoyed working on that one. Props to Jamie for that one. I don't know. I enjoyed Menethos, whether players did or not.
Yeah.
I was really pleased with how that stuff came out. Prifdinus and all the Elf City quests. I did a lot of work.
There's a fair bit there.
All the big stuff.
I've been here 10 and a bit years now, so...
You want to bring the mic up just a bit? Perfect.
Bit higher?
Yeah, just a bit up here. That's all. Just so they can hear you.
Yeah, there's a lot of projects. I think I've forgotten more than I can remember.
So, from an Elite Dungeon perspective then, what have you been brought in to do for these guys?
I'm the lead environment artist on the project, so I don't know quite why I got lumped with this job, but...
Because you're awesome and I wanted you.
It's very kind. I think it's probably just because I've worked on most of the projects that they're sourcing the assets from.
Yeah, we're buddies.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the long and the short of it. It's...
So when it comes to obviously environment, as mentioned by Orion, with Mod Luke F, for example, so was it like you had to pick him out?
Players don't like that he did that.
So in regards to obviously, is it your job to assign who goes onto what projects in regards to environment, or do you just kind of oversee?
In this instance, because I was going to be on the project the whole time and he was only coming in, I sort of farmed work out to him to do, but he... yeah, all the things I didn't want to do and I don't like doing, he picked up. No, it's more a case of we just looked at the workload between us and picked and chose what we liked. He's got a a real skill for painting textures and things like that. And it's what he likes to do, so he picked up a lot of that work.
Yeah, obviously when we released some of the screenshots last week, they looked absolutely stunning, the environment themselves, especially for Aminishi. So very excited for that one. JT, going to come over to you. So just in a nutshell, kind of what you do at Jagex and how you've been involved in Elite Dungeons.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of my time at Jagex, I'm relatively new to the character art team. I'm one of the juniors, and I started out with some free-to-play sort of character player kit reworks that I did, like the split.
Oh, for Ninja, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. I was working with Ninja, and the first sort of project I think was Christmas, and I was the main lead. The Rudolph, and the snowboards and a few things there. And the gnome. And then the next big one was deep sea fishing, actually.
Nice.
That one was really cool. Yeah, sunk my teeth into that. So then after that kind of concluded, that's when Jamie sort of approached me and said, hey, do you want to, this project we're thinking about making, and show me some pretty juicy concepts. And I was like, yeah.
It's always a good way of getting someone, appealing onto your content and jumping on.
No, I had to get involved. It was pretty cool.
Awesome. All right. So I think, unless there's anything you guys want to touch on, I think we're getting ready to head on over to the gaming PC. So am I good to send you guys over to the gaming PCs now?
Yeah, me and Alex will go over.
Yeah. So if you guys, you guys hop over by all means, and then we'll get ready to do some PC stuff. It's going to be good fun. So for this stream, expect a lot of maneuvering as such, because people are going here and everywhere. And now, obviously, the couch is a lot bigger as a result of it. But we have a lot to show you, especially on the PC, because we know you guys love seeing actual content on the PCs themselves instead of having us talk. Although sometimes you might like us talking. Who knows? You guys good over there? Yep. Awesome. All right, let's throw it over to the guys over there and see what they got for us.
We good? Yeah, cool. Yeah. Hi, so I'm Dave, and this is Tom, or Mod DBarker and Mod Nice Pants.
That's it. There's a story behind that. That's for another time, I think.
So we were the are the concept artists for this dungeon, and we're just going to take you through what the process is and what we were thinking, and, well, to be honest, how we got started. It started with Tom being given a layout, wasn't it?
That is correct. Thank you, Dave. So basically, just to introduce myself, I'm new to this whole streaming thing, but basically I joined the team about, 9 months ago as a concept artist, and I think the first project that I worked on was the Zombiescape, doing the bosses for the massive zombie apocalypse thing, which was pretty cool. I also worked on the Premier Club armor set, which came out great, I think. And yeah, now we're getting the chance to work on these dungeons as well. So over here on the screen, you can see this very exciting image of some initial layouts. This is basically where concept art comes in, and we start looking at these initial design layouts that we are provided by the environment team.
Yeah, I mean, it's fairly unusual. Often we get given sketches in the back of a napkin kind of stuff, but in this case we got given a nice 3D blockout to work with, which is actually quite nice.
Yeah. So these are actually excellent for a concept artist to get a rough idea for what the intent of the room layout is going to be. And we kind of take it from there, and we interpret it to look more visually pleasing to the player, of course. So on this slide, you can actually see my first interpretation of these initial designs that we were given. And basically what this is a rough layout of all the rooms, how we interpret it as a concept team. And during this process, we go back and forth with the development to make sure that all the gameplay elements are in place and that the player is going to have a nice experience going through this dungeon.
I can see you've labelled them like entry hall and mess hall and sleeping quarters, trying to make this like a lived-in kind of environment.
Yeah, so the intent with that is to really get the player to feel that this place is lived in, and there is a sense of progression going through here, and that the environment is telling a story by itself.
Cool.
So continuing on to the next level here, this is basically my interpretation of the first design layout that you saw earlier. And here we like to play around with the verticality of the place. Like we go down deeper into the cave systems.
Zoom in on that for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're on top of giant pillars, and we've got these walkways that are suspended above them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, this whole area is heavily inspired by the worship of the serpent Soreo, of course. So the dragon motif is going to be, or serpent, I should say, is going to be prominent throughout the whole dungeon. So it's really nice to play with the verticality and just looking at the existing architecture of the Ark Islands and just getting a sense of progression from the top levels towards the bottom as well. And the next...
Ooh, wall kits.
Yay! And the next step going forward, when we have decided on a general layout, is actually going in and making these concepts for the pieces that's going to make up for the entire dungeon. So basically this consists of wall kits, different sorts of pillars and archways and floor tiles and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, it seems like pretty dry stuff, but the 3D artists who come after us really appreciate this kind of thing. It's much harder to do a 3D model based on a vague sketch than it is to something that's flat on, that shows them the texture and the designs in detail. So we do a lot of these kind of things.
Yes. Going forward, more of the same really. This is more of a series of bespoke pieces that kind of really sets the mood for the dungeon. We can see here the floor motif with the dragons, sorry.
Cool swirling fighting dragons in a vague kind of yin-yang kind of thing going on.
So yeah, like I was mentioning before, telling the story throughout the environment, not only through dialogue, but also through visuals. And yeah, it just makes it lived in, makes it feel unique and
just lovely.
Yeah, just a way to guide the player through the experience as well.
Yep.
So yeah, that was basically.
So yeah, both Tom and I worked on this, but in different stages. So I came along after Tom had done some design passes and some bits and pieces, and what's the next thing? Oh yes, we did a design pass on the level layout along with our assistant art director Matt Newstead. So the initial 3D layout needed some changes made to it to make it more interesting. So you can see here we look at how the player is going to move through the level and what they're going to be attracted to and where they're going to turn the camera and whether things are in the way. We're trying to make sure that the camera automatically ends up in a position where the player knows where they're going to go and knows where they are without anything blocking them. The camera in RuneScape can be a bit tricky sometimes. Also, we're working with water features. This dungeon is sort of at the water table, so we get to use lots of water and lots of reflection and refraction and things like that, which make things look cool.
If I jump in, a couple of questions to pop in. So, what was your favourite part of this project design-wise?
Tom, what was your favourite bit?
So my favourite bit, I'm primarily a character concept artist. I tend to do mostly humanoid stuff. So it was really fun to get a chance to do an actual environment piece. So yeah, that's something I didn't really do a whole lot of before. So that was actually the more exciting part for me.
Breaking out of your comfort zone kind of thing.
That is correct, yeah. So hopefully get the chance to do more of this stuff going forward as well.
Yeah, my favourite bit I think is coming at the end of this series of images.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
Yeah, so you'll find out.
And then the other one, before I let you guys get back to it, what tools do you guys use to kind of create all this?
Well, primarily Photoshop. This level layout came from MapEd, so Alex put that together for us. We often use Maya, 3D Studio Max, SketchUp, anything that gets us to an image quickly and efficiently. We try to behave like a service team, so we essentially, other areas of the art department just ask us for things and we give it to them in the most convenient and effective way we possibly can, as opposed to, I prefer to stay in Photoshop personally and just paint things, but
painting is fun.
Painting is fun. So yes, what we're doing here, thinking about player paths and going through the level again. Here we're starting to come up with an idea for how we enter the dungeon. So you see the player enters on the right hand side and knows where they are, and they can see what they're going to encounter, as opposed to the player being sort of hidden behind the doorway, which is a big no-no. And we're thinking about the foreground, what they're immediately going to confront, the midground, what backs it up, and we're trying to give them a sense of where they're going to go and a sense of expectation. So this is one of my favourite bits of art, is a colour script. So as the player goes through the dungeon, we want them to experience a change in emotion, a change of mood, a sense of growing gravity and kind of threat. And we do this with colour and light. So the layout of the dungeon is kind of set, but the way we use colour and light can change as the player progresses. So initially we wanted some bright, airy, kind of positive vibes, I guess. You're just coming in and you're just getting to know the place. As you progress though, and going into the sewers, it gets a bit darker and lit with torch lights and underlit from reflections from the water beneath and this kind of thing. And I've even made a little palette there of primarily the colours used, just to help the 3D artists later on. This area has a few sort of mid-level bosses in it, I think, and I went for a few more regal colour tones to make them seem important, but it's still quite subdued. And the torches are turning a bit more orange and a bit more sinister. And here towards the end, we've got a final boss, and everything's quite dark and purple, and even the torches have gone down to a kind of bloodish red colour. So yeah, it's a fairly simple script, but it works fairly well. And as you're going through this dungeon, hopefully you'll be able to notice some of these effects coming in.
I think it's important to note that we have been using the same kind of wall kit throughout the dungeon, but we have been playing around with light and color a lot to give the player a sense of progressing down into this madness or whatever you would call it, or like this descent into something more dark and sinister. So.
We have to be quite effective with assets here, because this dungeon is, I think it's one of the biggest I've ever worked on. Is it the biggest one in? I don't know.
Don't know if it's one of the biggest.
Yeah, it's
the
huge.
biggest one I've ever worked
yeah,
on.
exactly. So we don't have
ridiculous.
many assets. We have to use colour and light as much as we can to keep variance up. So this image is towards the end, where you can see I've gone in for a more detailed pass, and there's a sinister boss at the end, and a few extra kind of, I don't know what you call this. It's kind of a sentry node that's going to cause problems for players as they approach it. I don't know how much spoilery I can be with this kind of thing. So.
Let's leave it.
Let's leave it, yeah. So yeah, I enjoy doing these kind of paintings. So we start with a 3D background and I just paint right over the top of it. It usually takes about a day to do these kind of things. And they're fairly fast, but good fun. Here we have some Crassians who have been corrupted. And yes, they're essentially the same designs, but they've got an oozy kind of black, horrible stuff all over them. And finally, at the end, we have Soreo, who is, yes, a very sinister-looking guy. And yeah, this probably took about a day and a half to do, maybe 2 days, and I included the design of the dragon in with him, and he's obviously been chained up. And the player down here, obviously, wondering what to make of all this. So yeah, this is the kind of thing I enjoy doing most, is an almost complete illustration that really captures the mood of the scene we're trying to get. They can take a while, but I like doing them, and to be honest, if most of my job consisted of doing this level of painting, I would be very happy. So yeah, we're kind of coming to the end of that little presentation. Are there any other questions at all? Don't know if anything's on the thing.
I think that's the first time we've shown the Crassians, I believe. Is that the first time?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
the general gist of that is that we're going to be giving all of the Crassians a repaint over some point to tie in their artwork a bit more with the content.
So if you didn't hear that, I'll just repeat it just in case.
Yeah,
Obviously at the
please.
back. The Crassians are going to be given basically a repaint, so it'll tie in with like content and stuff as well. So it's pretty awesome. Go on. You're gonna.
No, I was wondering if the mic needs to come round. If
Oh no, we're gonna. Otherwise, it's gonna be a lot of manoeuvring. It's fine.
Fair enough.
We'll make it work. So from obviously this perspective, like you mentioned about what was it, a day and a half of this? Is that correct?
about that, yeah.
So like that's mental. Holy moly. As mentioned as well, so just in case you're not aware, so this is Mod DBarker here to my left, and to my right, Mod Nice Pants.
That is correct.
If you don't there, it's pretty awesome. From an art perspective, I mean, what else is left for you guys to do without obviously trying to go into spoiler territory? Like, you know.
Well, a lot of our job is basically done.
Really?
Yeah, we cease involvement on a project usually halfway through by the time the 3D artists are sort of already involved. We try and front load projects as much as we can, so everyone's happy with the way things look and happy with the artwork, and they can just get on and model things and outsource things and do what they need to do. So we're already working on multiple other projects at this point, which we can't talk about, obviously.
Yeah, it's fair. I guess just on the last note, I guess, is there anything that you guys look for in regards to like kind of inspiring people how to get into this kind of stuff or anything like that?
Ooh,
Tough question. I know. Sorry.
Well, having a portfolio full of decent artwork is a good way to start.
Having a passion about just drawing in general and creating your own worlds does help a lot.
Yeah. For a concept artist, we don't specialize generally in characters or environment. We expect everyone in the team to be kind of good at everything. So variance in the portfolio and lots of, if you do lots of characters, do lots of environments, and have a general passion for fantasy art, we'd definitely be interested. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And no, we cannot show you the nice pants of Mod Nice Pants, FYI, for someone who decides to ask such a bizarre question. All right, well, thank you guys so much. That was
Cool.
a lovely insight. Like I was saying just in the background, that I feel like we don't do these enough. I think it's really awesome to showcase this kind of stuff and giving players like a look into how this stuff is made, and I think it's really awesome. So we go from the art, and now we're going to come over to environment. Is that correct?
That's right.
So let us pop it over. There we go. Now on camera. Let's do it, guys.
Hi. I'll just get into position. So Mod Orion here with Mod Alex, who is like lead environment artist on this project. Do you want to talk us through this screenshot and what we actually have here?
Yeah, okay. So at the start of a project, we tend to go through and compile everything that already exists in game that is of a similar theme. So when you came to me and told me we were doing an Aminishi dungeon, I went through the Eastern Lands project that I mentioned before and placed down on a map square everything I could find that might be useful. Turns out most of it wasn't. There's a couple of odds and ends that got reused, the bell in the background there, and then a couple of the fountains and things. But
so why weren't they reusable?
We have a very exacting graphical standard, and this stuff was just slightly too old. And it was done we use ZBrush a lot for sculpting models, so it predates that. It predates normal maps before we had the technology to use it. So yeah, it was of limited use. Good for background assets, but couldn't be used for central things.
Got you. So can we move on?
Yeah. So you've seen something like this already. So when I first started on the actual dungeon layout, I kind of went in a bit blind. I mean, you gave me some basic guidelines that it needs to be a series of rooms about at least 15 by 15 in size. That's 15 by 15 grid squares in our mapping software. So I just kind of winged it a little bit, breaking it down into sort of 5 convenient sections. So we started off with the dungeon entrance. This got heavily reworked later on into the this auditorium type thing, which isn't an auditorium at all, but it was all I could think of to call it early on.
What would we describe it as now?
Oh,
it's like a shrine.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
yeah.
At least the entrance part of it's a shrine, and then there's then there's the sanctum
it's
door.
Almost like a grand. I don't know. It's not like a coliseum or anything. I don't know what you'd call it, but yeah, it's like just a holy place kind of thing. Okay. Yeah, it's imagine like a lectern at the front. You can see it on the bit at the bottom there, where somebody might give sermons or something. There's just plenty of room for people to loiter around.
Can I just say I love this little dragon head? Absolutely amazing.
It's amazing. It looks a bit like the one from Mulan.
So this was scrapped, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it started off as an underground cavern. Yeah. Which was something you came to me about and was like, oh yeah, maybe we put this in between as an area for a boss.
Yeah.
So I blocked that out pretty rough and then completely scrapped it in favour of a massively ambitious and over elaborate sewer system later on.
Which looks that actually got the attention of a lot of viewers in the last live stream, and they were like holy crap, this place is massive. And it was then I
think that's one map square, and then it updated to about 6 map square section, which it's quite a size jump. The inner sanctum, again, completely different.
We stretched this out a bit more, didn't we? Make this bigger.
It was trying to go for like a non-linear look for this one, so it was a bit more of a circular path that the player went through it, but ended up scrapping that in the end. It just got convoluted and a bit messy.
So we kept some elements from both of these. So obviously, we changed level 3 to be this massive underwater cistern.
Yeah, coming into a natural cave from the temple didn't seem to make
right,
much sense.
Yeah.
No, it didn't work right.
And then this one, the actual entrance lobby, we decided to double in size and give it more rooms and
Yeah, it's got a lot more antechambers than it had then, and the throne room's a lot grander than on that first design.
Right, okay. So we got some design considerations. We changed a lot of these things. So
yeah,
this can you explain what this green is?
Right. So when you said we were going to be doing a giant dragon for a boss, I thought, yeah, I can do that. I can make it so that you can have it's about 6 map square dragon that you could run along its entire body. So it's all the green stuff is essentially map overlay and height map, sort of bent into the shape of some sort of weird dragon.
So when you first showed me this, and you were like, "Oh, do you know what? I've uploaded this. It's on the stream. You can log on and you can like have a look." And I was running around this dragon, and it took me 2.5 minutes to run around the entire dragon's body.
from neck to tail. Yeah,
and we were like, "Oh, this is really cool." Except it doesn't feel good.
No,
it didn't.
That was
look
awful.
Too good.
It didn't work at all.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
So what was the main reasoning behind changing it to the way it is now?
I suppose concise gameplay more than anything. It felt like trying to do it because we could do it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
The gameplay could be refined much more into how it is now. It's a much more streamlined and concise boss mechanic. Nobody wants to be spending 2.5 minutes running along a body of a dragon doing nothing.
No. Not unless we introduce some platform elements or something like that, but I don't think RuneScape would handle that. Right, so...
Yeah, do you want to hop through? So this is essentially the first stage of making any environment.
Yeah.
That's the basic stage. So then, after that's been done, we start to flesh out what's there with basic white box assets. So these are just to give an idea of more of scale and height and shape, and no big giant green dragon bodies.
Can I jump in here?
Yeah,
I just want to point out something that's really cool. So in the top left corner, you might be wondering, why are there people watching this? Now,
they're not live. They're not really there.
This is a shot, basically. This is an example of how it's kind of demonstrated, and I think it's really cool to mention that in that regard.
Where is the webcam on our screen right now? Are we blocking that? Or can they see
No,
it?
It's in the bottom right.
Okay, amazing. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I just think it's really cool to mention that, that this is an example of our sprint reviews. It's been shown.
Bi-weekly reviews, where it was being shown off. The reason for that, so everything we do in environment art is it's incremental, it's in stages, but it's a constantly evolving thing. So I don't have these maps anymore with these old things on. All the models in it get saved over progressively as the models get updated. So I didn't have any to call on, so I had to go and screen grab things from the sprint reviews, so I'd have something to show. I should have done it at the
in
time,
development, that actually makes it really cool, because what you see is this incremental evolution of all of your artwork go into the game. So
you and me both.
You see, I'm actually doing something. You can see like the pillars in the background. There's 6 pillars there, and then one day, Mod Alex will have done the pillar model, and he'll take those white grey versions, and he'll literally just take the file, which is the model, and he'll swap it with the new one.
Yep.
And all of a sudden the entire map is updated with the new pillars. It's absolutely wonderful. And then
It's one of the most satisfying bits.
Right?
Definitely, yeah, especially wall kits.
Yeah.
As much fun as they are to make. It's even more fun to see them when they update in game.
So how many
really
variations of the wall kits do we have? Are we getting to?
I've got a breakdown of the models at the end. So
Just-
this is just a few screenshots of the grey box stage and a couple of bits where we just gradually replace them. So you can see the wall kits there. The base wall kit has been made and has been replaced over the top of over the white box model.
Excellent.
But yeah, there's massive holes in it. You can see through into everywhere. It's just to give a good idea of layout and how long it will take you to run around it and things like that.
Okay.
So yeah, if you hit the next one, there's that's the throne room, and it's a slightly more refined.
So this is what
stage.
Masusa's arena looked like before all of the final textures and
Yeah,
assets were in.
yeah, before it's in its final state.
Cool.
And then the next one should be. So yeah, there's the refined Sarayu
Yes, I love these
boss fight
models.
area.
This is brilliant. So
Yeah, the tail in particular is.
where did you get this headpiece from?
It's off of the it's the entrance piece on
It's-
the
it's
Aminishi
the
dungeon
gate,
outside.
right,
It's
okay.
it's over the gate.
So you cut its head off and just put it in there.
yeah, it looked slightly better than
Okay.
the other ones, but otherwise, I mean, it's got no hands. It's
Oh
it's
no.
got like
I mean,
it's
you
misshapen stumps.
You can just
in
get out
the
of
way.
there.
Yeah, you could just slip out. The tail's all weird, and yeah, it's so then basically everything in the dungeon we break it down what we've already got and try to recreate it in as few pieces as possible.
This is the really cool.
So
bit.
this is almost everything in the dungeon is made out of those pieces.
That is insane.
I mean, the pillars, there's only 2 different tops and 2 different bases, and then interchangeable middles.
Sorry, that entire 5-floor dungeon is made out of that. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much.
What?
There's a couple of texture swaps,
Okay.
a couple of tweaks, but yeah, 99% of the assets are made out of those pieces. And even the rocks were stolen from one of the Menefos dungeon. Shifting tombs,
yeah, and then retextured.
Yeah, retextured to make them slightly more purple, so they fit into the environment.
That's cool. A lot of RuneScape players talk about efficiency, but I think we have you beat.
It's kind of the first time we've attempted something on this scale with this dungeon. It's much bigger than any dungeon we've tried to do in the time frame before, and the only way we could do it is by massively rinse and repeating stuff and kit bashing it into different shapes.
See, I knew there were a certain amount of environment pieces, but seeing it in one screenshot like that is ridiculous. That's like, it's like a starter pack. I like it. It's cute. All right.
So there's a couple more. So
okay, I'll move on. Yeah.
Yeah. So then this is for set dressing purposes.
Okay. So set dressing is. Explain that to.
It's just essentially fleshing the environment out with all the props you'd need to help tell the narrative. Okay. So this was everything I could scrape together from projects that already existed, and with a few that had to change. So like the bell and the giant globe were taken from player imports with a few tweaks just to make them fit in, and everything else is just stolen from a combination of Menefos, the Al-Kharid update, and Eastern Lands.
Yeah,
because all the stuff sort of fits in, and just it worked well enough to fit in. And then there's one more, and that's the bespoke assets that needed to be made for this dungeon. So we broke it down into stuff that couldn't be sourced from anywhere else. Yeah. The giant emblem that's on the floor, the big shackle around Sorayu's neck. The braziers, we decided to make something new, but they're both the same. It's a separate base, and the chains on top, the dish of the actual brazier itself is the same model on both of them. Had a bit of time, so I made a throne. That probably wasn't necessary. But you can barely see it.
How long did you spend on these thrones?
Oh, far too long. 2 days, 2
days on a throne.
Yeah, that's barely seen. No gameplay. It's just in the background. But
that's fair enough.
And the banners obviously are unique because we've not. It's a culture that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, so that's all the screenshots. Do you want to jump in game and
let's have a look.
Oh, we're going in game.
Yeah.
So you can have a little
this
run
is what
through.
people want to do. I mean, just
hello.
Can you find a screenshot of that one area of an area you're in, and then show it compared to this?
Yeah. Did you want to? Did you want to do a run through the whole thing, or
let's have
just
a look.
Jump to it?
One of the cool things is in the concept art, the level design, right? So please take note of this entire area. We've just come into the entrance. There are some.
There's a few subtle changes that needed to be made.
Exactly.
But
so essentially the same layout. I'm going to pop back into the game.
So just as a note, apparently we're having screen tearing. So basically, try not to rotate the camera rapidly, and we'll be okay. Just as a note for you.
No pressure.
Don't. So you do it anyway. Like a rebel you are.
All right.
Never say don't do something.
Okay, so I want to. There we go. Right. So essentially, what we're looking at here, I'll just teleport into the center of the map. We're basically extremely similar in map layout to what was originally concepted by the guys.
Yeah. Thankfully, not the design I did early on, because that really wasn't that good in the end.
Here we go. We can get that on screen
nice.
at the same time.
That's awesome.
So there's a few subtle changes. Just the reason the stairs on the left-hand side there needed to change is because the field of view for the player was never any good. You were always just staring at a wall and couldn't see much of what was coming. So I opened it all up, and so you've got a nice view all the way along the main chamber now. But I think that's pretty much the only thing that changed. Otherwise, it was all taken.
So you've put in quite a few point lights in this area as well.
Yeah, just to help accentuate like the blue lighting in the floor, give it a nice warm orange glow. Took the Dave showed us the colour swatches, the colour atlas before. had a go at recreating it. It's
yeah.
not the it's not quite on point yet. I'd like to go through and give it a little bit more of a tweak.
I think you've done it really well.
But it's yeah.
Oh, Mod Sova put in some joke NPC says for some of the guys in here, and one of them just spouted an MTX related one, so I'm sure the chat's gonna love that. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. I just want to shout out to one of the players called Brandon. His username. He's not wrong. Is Vernick. He's one of our lorehounds in the Society of Owls, and he guessed that we were going to do Temple of Aminishi with a very bold statement, which was, "Oh, this is Temple of Aminishi. I am not wrong," and that was it was so
that
bold. And go no further, pirate. Interesting. So they all think we're pirates. That makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, this Avernick's response was basically a reply to a little sketch that we did.
Right.
Me and you sat down and we drew this really bad, like with pencil and paper on a notepad, this layout of the dungeon with 5 floors, and I tweeted it going like thinky emoticon emoji, and it was
nailed it.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, this is the. Everyone else was like, is this a Menaphos dungeon and blah blah blah. No, Brandon Avernick
nailed it.
He was not wrong. This is Temple of Aminishi.
Much like he said.
Yeah, in fact, it wasn't even that. It was Temple of Aminishi interior. I am not wrong. He was specific. So let's talk about this area. This is what we call the auditorium, but it's it's more like a shrine. And so we had an interesting issue with this. We wanted the Anagami and the Arhats to kind of wave their way across the space. Yeah. So when we
it didn't make
aggroed
sense
them,
to start with because they were all just sticking to the path the players can walk on. So they were stuck on the central platforms and on the twisty walkways.
Yeah, and then myself, Mod Sova, and Mod Chaose were playing through the dungeon. We obviously like to play test our own content quite often, especially when it comes to combat encounters. And we were running through and we aggroed like, 14 of them because we were idiots. And we realised that they were following the path, like, round. These creatures can fly. This is ridiculous. So, what do we have to do to fix that?
So you've got the NPC command that lets them walk through blocking, essentially. So what stops you walking off the edge of there, they can just ignore. But essentially it meant that I had to height map all of the negative space in this dungeon, where there wasn't any before, so that they would conform to it nicely and not just suddenly jerk up and down or sink into the bottom of the dungeon, which is what would have happened if I hadn't. But it was an easy fix, and it's so much more effective having it done.
So have we got a texture issue right here because of this stream? It looks really cool.
No, what are you talking about? It's totally meant to look like that.
I mean...
Pass.
That looks really cool. That looks like... So every Monday we do updates and we have to use the correct NXT client version when we do these tests. And
if in doubt, it was Luke's fault.
I might be one behind this. It's probably my fault. Don't blame it on Luke.
Ah, shit.
In the concept...
He knows I'm joking.
In the development... review that we were doing, and we showed screenshots of this earlier. This was literally Claudia in the background. So earlier. we're not hiding anything. We call it clever asset reuse. What we've done is we've altered the geometry of a high fidelity model.
Yeah, JT did a really nice job of
big shout out to
converting that. You're going to see more of it in a minute.
We've got some really cool emissive textures on there, so you can see the glow around the nice kind of pinky pustules on its back.
Nice.
And there's like brand new geometry. It goes down deeper. Mod Wing had to animate this, so it is a model reuse, but it is we took Claudia as a base, and we added additional anim stuff. We fixed the labels on it. New geometry, and like there's a really cool beard, added some asymmetry to that.
Everything's better with beards.
Everything's better with I think you're right. This awesome texture. I'm invisible, so I won't start the boss fight, so that's good. That is good. I do not want to start the boss fight. You don't want to get your ass kicked live on there. No, I'm on max HP. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. No problem. Let's teleport to the third area. So yeah, if you guys are just tuned in, what we're doing is we're doing like a behind the scenes spotlight of Elite Dungeons, and we're going through the development process. We're talking artwork and environment and character, and we're going like block by block on how we've actually created the dungeons. So yeah, it's going to be very kind of nitty gritty, explaining little bits here and there, and not just going new content. Wow, wow.
Freshly done. Like
Yeah, thank you. Do you know what? Just a behind the scenes 12-second video of me doing that. That's fine. Okay, so what is this area?
So this is the sewer. This is what started off as that rather dull round cavern that was on the original block out. Yeah, so the idea being that there would be these ancient tunnels beneath the dungeon that it meant I could reuse the same wall kit yet again, tweak it with lighting and add a few little extra features. There's a couple of little gratings around these little bridges, again all made out of the same pieces of geometry as the wall kits.
Yeah. It blows my mind.
Made a completely different feeling place.
Okay, so what about these little bricks and, for example, this part of the wall looks a little bit, I'm sorry to rotate, what about this part of the wall?
So yeah, so we figured this would be a more rundown part of the dungeon, or throughout the narrative of the whole dungeon itself, that it would get gradually more run down as you went through. So we made a damaged version of that base kit by separating out each of the where the texture's got the tiling bricks, cutting one out, using that to texture it, and just removing some, recessing bits and things like that, just to give it more of a rundown look.
Excellent. Okay, and yeah, I remember these bricks all had blocking on them at some point.
Yeah, that one probably should still have blocking.
No,
I've time that you've done that beautifully.
I'm sorry. What I've done is I've overridden your decision to have blocking on these. All right, sorry, buddy. I don't mind.
If that gets called up, I'm totally dropping you in it.
That's fine. If any of the art leads at Jagex are watching, this was all mod Alex's fault, and what I said was a complete lie.
It's all lies.
Okay, cool. So we'll quickly jump to the fourth area. And we'll move on to the character section shortly, so we can have a look at Big Boy Seiyuu and
that's what get to the main event.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, this area we showed this all last week, but is there anything?
The throne room and Inner Sanctum. I don't think anything's really. If you showed it last week, nothing's really changed.
But one thing we didn't get
on the second
week,
dungeon.
Your point of view on this area, generally. Like how there's a lot more props in this area, I noticed.
Yeah. This one had the heavier set dressing pass because it needed to feel like, because it was this inner sanctum for these corrupt monks. It needed to and mercenaries. It needed to feel like it was well inhabited, like they were well stocked, that they'd be here for a long period of time, hatching their evil plans, in typical super villain fashion. So yeah, we wanted to go to town. We wanted to really make it feel lived in, except that room, apparently.
Wait, which room?
Don't look for it now.
What, this room? Oh, this room. Yeah, this is more like a corridor, isn't it?
Sure, let's go with that.
Do you want to go back and put in like a sack in the corner?
Yeah. I'll go with the token barrel.
Yeah.
There's usually barrels
we'll put
everywhere.
a barrel in there.
Can you show the map for this one before we finish it? Like the map for this specific area. And yeah, there you go.
Ooh.
There you go. So there's lots of little rooms here. So that
lots
particular
of
room,
the beaten path stuff.
That room that was fairly empty has.
It won't be empty when it goes live. I'll do something with it.
Well, you just spotted that now.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, yeah, I must have forgotten that one.
There is a mini boss that spawns here. So that's, I don't know, that kind of counts, right?
So if I stick a model right in the middle of the room, that'll work fine.
This guy's gonna attack us. All right. Cool. We're interfering with a matter larger than us all, or something.
What?
That's what his awesome dialogue says.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't want to give too many lore spoilers or anything like that. Cool. So
then you got the old grand finale.
Defense pylons. This is the first time you guys have seen this. There's a few of these bad boys, and there's a big old dragon in the background. And we'll leave it at that, I think, for now. Yeah, because, well, do you know what? It's a really good little segue, actually, because we're going to go talk about Seiyu's. I mix up the pronunciation all the time, I'm sorry. If there's any kind of East Asian or Japanese people watching, please tell me how the hell it's pronounced, because I'm trying my hardest. As far as I know, it's like Seiyu or something like that, so we'll go with that. And yeah, we're going to talk to Mod JT and
Cool.
have a little look.
Awesome. Right. Oh, sorry,
Sorry,
JT,
man.
I'm not in your way. So, yes, we're now coming on to the character section of our stream. So, JT's got some awesome stuff to show you. So, sit back and enjoy this one. Yeah, we're good. So, lead the way.
Hey everybody. Yeah, I'm just going to do my best to give you a brief overview of kind of what it's like to be a character artist here at Jagex, and particularly for this project, how I went about making the characters for this dungeon. So, as you can see here, this is kind of where I joined the project, essentially, after Dave's done his amazing concept. My job is to take this and turn it into a 3D model that can essentially be a game character that's animated and comes to life. So let's jump straight to... Okay, so where I begin is usually in a program called ZBrush. Most characters that I work on tend to be sculpted first. We make a high poly model that can then be used to generate a bunch of details, which is applied to the low poly game mesh. So, yeah, it looks kind of like a disembodied dog head, but essentially, this is about 10 minutes into the sculpt. This is kind of where I'm at.
Oh, you guys are not ready, I promise you. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so... Yeah, it's usually a lot of pushing and pulling just to get the primary forms established.
Master has given Dobby a sock.
As you can tell, we're at that point in the stream now, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, obviously we go from that straight to this. So yeah.
Yeah. So after a little while, yeah, the form develops. I start to work on adding extra models to this, like building out the horns, the hair, the teeth, and the eyes, and things like that. Mm-hmm. As you get a little bit more advanced, I start to work into the secondary form and sculpt the hair and etc. Yeah, this is where I started to build the body and blocking out the arms, the torso, everything. Try to get a sense of the pose and try to get it as accurate to the concept as I could. And right here, this is kind of me adding the extra hair that goes on the back and a few other elements which will go towards the tail. But yeah, it kind of looks like he's in the midst of a dive. I'm aware of that. But this is at this stage, I kind of get to the point where I'm adding things like scales and smaller details. And for this, I created what's called an alpha that I can sort of repeat without going in and sculpting too much by hand. I can actually drag it over the mesh and create a lot of this surface detail pretty quickly. So it's a little bit more efficient. And this is kind of very close to the final sculpt, where
so you can see the scales obviously coming in a little bit here as well.
Yeah, I think I changed the perspective on it or something. Yeah. But yeah, this shows you the front view as well, as you can take a look at.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
Someone's just put he doesn't skip arm day.
Yeah, so you can get a sense of how long his body was. I wasn't quite sure how much of the sort of body was going to be sticking out of the tunnels that he kind of emerges from the dungeon, but yeah. So, and there's a little shot of his underside. So yeah, I really tried to cover all areas just because I'm not 100% sure how much is going to be seen by the players. Mm-hmm. But we do tend to focus on what we know is going to be the focal points. So like the face is going to be what the players see the most. So most of the detail tends to go into this area.
Kind of looks like it wants a hug, someone says.
Yeah.
Do you know roughly how many polys this would be at its highest fidelity?
Yeah, so roughly, once you have all the models together, it's probably in the 12 million range.
12 million polys?
Yeah.
Holy.
12 to 15
It's more than
million.
the rest of RuneScape put together.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the stream caught that one. We'll have to wait and see. Wow. Okay, we're in one of these moods, are we? All right.
So there we go. So I tweeted this out the other day, but this.
Let's forget. Right. Let's all take a second here. Right. Go ahead, JT.
So after I've taken that sculpt, I can essentially generate the detail for the low poly mesh. So it captures a lot of what is in that sculpt and apply the texture to it. So this is the two skin variants for the boss. I won't reveal too much more about that, but yeah, just so you can get a look at what he looks like in his final forms. And then I just want to show this guy briefly.
Masuta.
So this is another one of the bosses I worked on, Masuta the Ascended, and a lot of you will probably recognize some of the designs here. This is, I believe it's the Hanto armor set. So we reused some of the influences there, and gave him a pretty sinister appearance. But this is, he's pretty cool. Right, I won't go back to that. That was it's going to be a sore subject. So let's. I've got something to.
Let's full screen it.
Yeah.
There we go.
So if you'd like to see the 3D model, here you go. So this is pretty cool. This is Sketchfab, so I can show you the model in real time with all of its textures applied and sort of break down the process of how they layer up to give you this kind of look. Here you go, you can see the actual low poly game mesh. They're all the polygons. So as opposed to 12 million polygons, this total mesh is probably closer to about 9,000. So it's crunched a lot of that detail down. And so this is the flat lit texture. This is how I would have seen it as I'm painting in a program called 3D Coat. Spend most of my time there, some time in Photoshop as well, just processing this. This is the specular reflectivity map. So this will help to govern how shiny the scales are, essentially how much light affects the body and gives it that kind of appearance of being wet or a polished surface. And I think so. This is essentially this is what is generated from that high poly sculpt. This is the normal map applied to the model, and it allows the lighting engine to read this this map and cast shadows that aren't really there for geometry that isn't there. So it gives the appearance that it's actually higher density mesh than it is. So yeah, this is pretty standard in the games industry, but it allows us to get a pretty cool effect overall.
And that's the final one, right? Just clarify.
Yeah, this is the final one, and just that texture.
Awesome. Right.
Just really quickly show some other pieces. So this is another section of Soraya. He's pretty unique for a boss because he's actually part environment and part NPC. He's so big that we had to kind of break him into pieces, and I had to make some segments for the environment team to take and actually place around the map, so to just illustrate his scale. As you saw from that early white box where they had the green sort of dragon there, these are the segments which tile. So I make a cylindrical section which can be tiled and repeated endlessly, and so that you can essentially create a never-ending serpent if you want.
The detailing looks absolutely incredible.
Can we
Holy
see the poly?
moly.
Can we see the mesh?
Yeah, what have we got for mesh? So good. Oh, hello.
Oops. There you go.
Oh, there you go then.
So it's pretty low poly actually.
So does it mostly come down to the normal map?
Yeah,
That
a lot
makes
of
it
it. A lot of it comes down to that and the specular map, which all gives that cool look when it's spinning around, the light affecting it differently, and that looks like there's something there, but there actually isn't. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. All right, and what we got?
And
the Sanctum Guardian.
Yeah, the final one I'll just show is the Sanctum Guardian. So yeah, as you all know, this did used to be Claudia. But it's a pretty common practice in the games industry for to reuse where you can, and we felt it was a good opportunity to reuse this kind of epic scale boss and just give it another sort of fresh appearance. So yeah, he's I hope you can appreciate the face is quite a bit different, and it looks altogether a lot more sinister.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Damn, that's so awesome. Holy moly.
This one didn't originally have normal maps, so I kind of used a process where I can take the texture that is on there and actually generate some normal map. It doesn't quite look the same, but it does actually give an effect with the lighting in the end, where it gives you that kind of that sheen and effect of there being some detail there.
For everyone wondering why you just heard a beep, that is not our time to end the stream, just to clarify. I'm not sure where that came from actually, but we still got a fair bit to do. We're gonna obviously talk to Orion and Sova on the dev and Chaose from the dev and QA perspective. But honestly, What a preview. And let us know if you guys enjoy this kind of stuff, because we've kind of wanted to step up our game from an art perspective and kind of showcasing things. And I think stuff like this really helps solidify that. So let us know if you enjoy it. Personally, I just love seeing stuff like this. I think it's amazing. So obviously from the art perspective, we've had character, we've had environment, and obviously we've had, excuse me, oh my goodness, my brain has completely just gone on me. Concept, sorry. Goodness me, thank you. So we do have a few questions, so I'm going to try and I'll take a few because we got quite a lot. So as a heads up for you guys, Tom and Dave, you guys might need to pop your heads over the monitor just to talk, to answer some of this, because obviously if you come around, come join us. Yeah. I'll take some of these questions, then we'll come over to the sofa, and then we'll get ready to end it. So any of you guys chime in on this, and then we'll go from here. How long did it take to get the lighting just right where the shadows and background items pop in?
Oh, what's that for? Character models?
It could be character, or it could be...
Let's go character and
yeah, do you want
to... what, in terms of how they pop in the environment?
Yeah, so like, how did you make them like, you know, appear? Like, for example, how it pops in and looks really awesome.
Just try to stick to quite a vibrant color palette, and not to go too dark is another good tactic. Because if you start to incorporate too many dark colors, when you start to stack all the lighting effects in the engine on top of that, then things can start to look kind of muddy and lost in there. So yeah, try to keep things vibrant.
So yeah, I mean, I try to. I spent a couple of days looking at the lighting in the environments as well. I did that before you'd finished the boss NPCs, but then reassessed it once you'd got them in, so that you can make sure that they were vibrant enough, that they were popping out. Yeah, it's a back and forth process.
Yeah, because you have to be able to see them really in the environment, and then sometimes I can take the character and do some adjustments. So.
The team is using art in 3D. Is this the same team, or are the teams working in some kind of working pipeline where teams have their own tasks? For example, 3D, drawing, etc., etc. So I guess the work process in that sense.
It's largely the same team. The concept artists tend to move between teams to help out where we can, but the 3D guys will generally work on the same project.
Stick to it from start to finish.
Yeah. And we, as concept artists, we can kind of go back and forth as well. Even though we're technically done with a project, then we can kind of step back into it a couple of weeks later if some of the environment or character artist has a question about a design or anything like that, and we can get back to it and maybe do a new interpretation of it, just to make it clearer for the artist to work on.
What was designed to make Elite Dungeons faster to create in the future? Was it a toolkit or something like that? And how does it make creating Elite Dungeons quicker?
So it's, like I said before, it's sort of kind of assessing the grey box, that first initial mapping, and seeing how we can recreate it in as few like modular chunks as possible. It's all about modularity at the moment. So it's making one wall kit section with a separate like trim along the bottom and a trim along the top that can then be taken off, bent, added to, and everything, just to recreate everything else. It's that gives it this speed, because you only have to make each piece and texture each piece once, and then it's just about remapping it in different ways.
All right, I'll take one more, which is how hard was it to kind of replicate the lighting as shown in the artwork from these guys?
Almost impossible. Yeah, thanks for that. I'll teach you how to do it next time. You can have a go at using mapping to do it. It's not easy, but it's I wouldn't not have it. It's so useful to have that insight into it before you start. Yeah, like everything you guys do, it's we have to shoot for it as best we can. You can't always hit what you guys do, but it's
I mean, at the end of the
you get there as close as you can.
At the end of the day, it's just a concept. So
feel free to ignore it.
Feel free to just
I won't do it out of spite though, don't worry.
All right, so first of all, I just want to say a massive thank you to the art guys. You've been absolutely awesome. So that's Mod Alex, Mod JT, Mod DBarker, and Mod Nice Pants. You guys have been absolutely awesome. So thank you so much. Me and Mod Orion are going to go over to the couch. We're going to go talk to Mod Sova and Mod Chaose. So I'm going to come back to you guys in a second. She's going to be on camera, and then we're going to come join you. So let's run over to those guys on the couch, and we'll go join them.
We're back.
Thanks, guys.
You're meant to talk with a mic. There you go.
So, this is our stream now.
Art's finished.
Right. Okay. So the art bit. By the way, on a personal note, I love art stuff like that, and an insight into how it's all made. I think it's so cool. So being able to get a little look at that, I thought was absolutely amazing.
Stream chat looked receptive to it, so I think
yeah,
we're going to do some more, right?
So let us jump onto the development and QA side of things. We'll get Orion to join us over here so we can get camera stuff. Right, we got a lot of questions, so let us just dive into this. Guys, jump in where possible. Let's go for this, okay? So, should we be worried that Elite Dungeons will replace the normal dungeoneering training?
I don't think so. And we're looking at balancing this in a couple of ways. Skilling Council has talked about this in the past, in that we want to have like sliding scales for stuff. So like your absolute best XP stuff doesn't necessarily have to be like your absolute best money making stuff. Or there was something else in there as well.
AFK ability.
Interactivity, yeah. How AFK it is and how fun it is, and well, ideally everything's like top-notch fun, right?
Yeah, of course.
So
it's now gotten so complex. It used to be a triangle, and now I think it's a pentagon of like 5 different aspects to skilling and training.
Yeah, indeed.
But I can't remember.
So I think we're going for less DG XP, but you're making a profit and you're getting other things. And it's brand new as well.
I mean, it's not going to be like balls to the wall DG XP and tokens because you're getting, combat XP, Slayer XP, a decent amount of money probably as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you will get more straight DG stuff if you're just doing DG. However, you won't get any of those other things.
But it's absolutely still worth it to train DG here, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
Go on.
Yeah, I'll jump in as well. So if you, for example, in Temple of Aminishi, I'm giving away, I kind of want you guys to figure this out.
Don't spoil it. Stop it. Stop it.
Super efficiency, should we talk about it? All right, okay, fine. I won't reveal every single piece of information and how you can really efficiently rinse the Temple of Aminishi and subsequent dungeons, but there are ways to, you can train Slayer in there, obviously, because there's contracts and a couple of other Slayer creatures. But you'll be getting combat XP way more at combat XP. And I know combat XP itself is quite devalued. A lot of people have 120s, a lot of people are 99 anyway. We recommend having quite high stats for the dungeons in the first place. But you'll get a lot more combat XP than you do in dungeoneering. You won't get as much DG XP as you do in dungeoneering, but we are looking at numbers between, let's say, 230 and 330k XP an hour if you're competent. I'm sure you guys will prove me wrong and tip it up to 400k, but that's fine. We reward skill and providence. But what else? The drop tables themselves are actually pretty cool. There's some
interesting
things on there. Yeah. So obviously it's less DG XP than Demonheim because we don't want to devalue that entire area.
Although we are giving some kind of circular rewards that I think is okay to talk about. Like
go for it.
Like dungeoneering cards, you can get those 1 a day currently. Like if you drop more of them, would Demonheim be better because you've got more boost to Demonheim?
Yeah, potentially. One of the things that we're doing with no, in fact, I'm going to wait until it comes up. So go for it.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about from a requirements perspective. So obviously we touched on this last week, but I feel like it's important to hammer home that point. If I want to get involved with this content, what requirements should I have to get into there?
Some 99 Slayer agility shortcut requirement for the boss.
Oh wait, no. Invention.
You need to be
Reaper.
Next.
You need trim comp. No, it's the Arc mini quest, the first one to get there.
Impressing the locals.
Impressing the locals is the name for it. It's not a mini quest anymore, is it? It's a full-on quest.
Yeah, it's full-on quest.
Yeah, we changed that. Once you've got that, you can go for it. I would recommend having God Wars 2 gear and stats plus.
Judging by our attempts at killing a boss earlier, definitely or better.
And lots of supplies.
Speak for yourselves.
All right, actually, props to this guy. We died several times. This guy ended up soloing.
I had to tank it for a little while before you came back.
Yeah,
right. So
for a while. Yeah.
We've got these commands that I can teleport to a player on a.
Oh, that was
on a
funny.
server,
Yeah.
On a world.
I got two kill count on my teammates there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just teleport back to me. Teleport back to him. Straight into this like massive AOE attack. Die instantly. Flip out. Like rage. The half of the office is looking at us. Like. Oh.
There was a lot, yeah, because I was talking to Mod Easty, and then all of a sudden we just hear, like, just ahead of us, we just hear this racket, and then we just look up, and we're like, did something just happen? Like, did something bad just happen? And then I could just see
terrible.
I could just see Chaose's screen, and then he's there, but then I can just see obviously the frustration from you two. So yeah, it looks great.
Obviously,
We've got a video, haven't we? Like with something to do with this?
Yeah, we'll probably like tweet that at some point because
Okay.
it needs to be heavily edited. There's some swear words. We got Shawnee dying to.
Yeah, but I wasn't
Suter.
even aware you were recording me. You literally were like, okay, we got this. We have these playtests every Wednesday, every 2 weeks on Wednesday, where we check out upcoming dev teams' content. So I thought I'd check out Elite Dungeons, and I said to Mod Orion, Mod Sova, hey, I'm going to try out this boss. You know, I'll give you feedback if you want to watch me play it. And then they decided to record me. Now, obviously. Natural environment, sometimes words come out of frustration.
You got a filthy mouth, boy.
No, it's just
Surely
you
knows the adult word.
You get into you get frustrated when certain things don't go your way. So if that decides to be uploaded, then so be it. I really don't mind. I think it's fun to show that side of things.
I think we can
But
get away with like one little swear word. That's
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, going off of that, obviously, I'm the only QA on this project, but I did this for next 2 as well, just get the rest of the team to just jump in and try and get a feel for it, because ultimately it's supposed to be a 3-man dungeon. You can do it solo if you're absolute baller,
if you're a madman.
if you're an absolute madman, yeah. So obviously I need to get a couple of guys to just run through and get a nice feel for it, because you can't do that on your own. If you're running 2, 3, 4 accounts, it's a real struggle. We did do that for Barbarian Assault rework, and it was so much hard work.
Yeah,
we wasted so much time trying to do that. So,
all right,
you lose a very small amount of dev time, and you get like so much good feedback from that as a result, and save time in the long run.
Yeah.
All right, so. Let's just reiterate, so you can solo, you can duo, and you can obviously do a trio. Now, obviously, you know, the team experience, you'll probably get a farewell in a trio. Bit more difficult on duo and hard on solo, or?
So this has been a concern raised by you guys quite a bit, actually. We don't want to lock out a large percentage of the player base, especially those of you who do actually enjoy PVM. So the difficulty in duo and trio is substantially easier by its very nature, by its very core. There will be some mechanics in the boss fights that are a lot simpler with 2 or 3 people and become quite overwhelming when you are just one player trying to accomplish 2 or 3 goals simultaneously. So by that very point, being solo is a lot more challenging. You'll have to do 3 times the damage of a trio group. That's just one aspect of it.
Yep.
The mechanics themselves often are lended to having an additional player with you at least to handle those. So that's another aspect of it. And also the fact is, if the bosses are alive for approximately 2.5 to 3 times longer because you have to deal that extra damage and it takes longer overall, then you're avoiding mechanics or using supplies for 2.5 to 3 times longer than a trio group would. So
either that, or you're taking 2 or 3 times more damage as well.
Exactly.
It's taking you that much longer.
Right.
Exactly.
We did this last stream, but I kind of want to do the little checklist of things where I give you a quick thing, you say yes or no, just so the streamer are aware for people who didn't watch last week of what's coming up. So,
Okay.
Reaper,
Yes.
Comprex of any kind,
Yeah.
There will be.
Trim,
I imagine there will be.
MQC,
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Final Boss,
Yes.
IFB.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as a result, that means boss pets will be there as well.
Yes.
Collection log.
Yes. Do you want to explain the collection log?
Yes, there won't be a collection log for each individual boss in the dungeon, but there will be a collection log for the dungeon overall.
All right, so it could just go Temple of Aminishi and then a number out of items. Okay, awesome.
It is very important to note, because as soon as we mention comp and trim comp, we get people going, wah! Essentially, there is a story mode for the dungeon, and this is really important. there are aspects of the content, so the Master Quest Cape, for example, that you can complete on story mode. If you can go around and collect all the lore books on story mode, then you can get your MQC back.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So to explain or reiterate from last week's stream, story mode is all of the NPCs that you need to attack have half of the HP that they normally would. That includes all bosses. And
they're all weaker as well.
They're all significantly weaker. So the damage that they deal is 30%.
Sorry, Orion, 1 second. Can we find out what's going on with the microphones? There's apparently a sound issue. I don't want to obviously have you explain everything and them have an issue. Hold on a second, guys.
Potentially feedback from something?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to assume we're going to be okay for now. Yeah, it was like a one-off pop, apparently.
All right. It might be that
it might be the Twitch. There's a Twitch issue where sometimes on Twitch streams they'll do it, but not actually to do with us.
All right.
I had to double check. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm always happy to blame someone else. Sean.
Sorry.
That's fine.
I just want to make sure.
I'll quickly reiterate. Things like Master Quest Cape, a lot easier to obtain on story mode. Story mode is a mode that you're allowed to choose when you enter the dungeon. And that will be all NPCs that you need to kill are at half health, and they deal 33% of the damage that they would normally deal. So if they hit you for 1,200 normally, they'll only hit you for 400 on story mode. That's how that.
So
works.
the idea
It's important to note that that is also not a rewarding mode.
Yes.
No,
You'll have to play normal mode if you want to get all your mad DG XP and.
But it's a great opportunity for
money. But yeah, if you want to experience the content itself.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're talking MQC as well, it's not like MQC players have to do this rock solid encounter to get this.
Exactly.
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. I like that.
Mod Timbo's given us permission to add a little trickle of dungeoneering XP to story mode. So if, for example, regular mode granted you 300,000 XP per hour, story mode might be just like 45k an hour, just for you're
getting something for your time.
Yeah, a little bit of recompense, I guess. Yeah.
So, another thing, is this being added to the Salty title whatsoever? Because it is technically in the arc on Aminishi. Is this tied in with that title whatsoever?
I don't know what title you're talking about, Shawnee. My therapist says I shouldn't talk about that title anymore.
I'm aware of your escapade with the Salty title.
Yeah, I remember adding the armor and everything to that and trying to explain to the players why it was a good thing. And
I have to ask,
some of you disagreed. So I've had this question once on Twitter, and my only response to it so far has been, I don't want to touch Salty. If maybe this is the kind of thing we should poll. I don't know. It affects a significant enough number of players.
To ask why. Because like what is like from a reasoning perspective, it is on the arc. It is technically tied into arc contents. Like, why is it not?
So I guess the annoying thing is anything I say could be negated by the fact that I then added Hanto armor and other requirements. So my logic could be used against me. Essentially, it comes down to the title was associated with the release. If we were to make a massive, a new dungeon or something for Menethos, the same question would be asked of Sandy. So the question then is, do we consider Salty and Sandy titles to be completionist content like the Cape that are infinite? Or is there
expanding and so on and so forth?
Exactly.
Right.
Or was there a limit where we say, Menethos was released in 2017, so all of the Menethos content related to 2017 is the Sandy title.
Yep.
If we added anything else to it, there might be uproar. We have to go and do the login check of.
I just had a thought actually.
An extra title, Super Sandy.
No.
Super Salty.
Super Salty.
No. Well, Magister's not used in Sandy, and he's in Menethos.
So Magister doesn't have a Sandy title.
Yeah,
Magister he does, doesn't he?
No, he's not involved in the Sandy tile, to the best of my knowledge.
Oh, I thought he was. I thought you needed 115 Slayer to get Sandy. Can anyone maybe
I'm pretty sure
fact check us? Because
people can fact check.
I'm more likely to believe Shawnee than myself. But
I might be wrong.
He's on Reaper anyway, right?
He's absolutely on Reaper, yes. He's on IFB, so on and so forth. Yeah, see, he's not. So you could use that reasoning in that regard.
Thank you so much,
There you go.
Johnny.
There you go.
That's just perfect.
I asked you the awkward question and then came back with the response. All right. Unsafe death. Safe death. Is this safe death in
It is not
Not
safe.
safe death at all.
story
so-
mode? No safe death in
Nope,
story
nope.
mode.
Story mode is also dangerous, so get ready to kill your Iron Man.
It's the same as any quest NPC, right? If you, I don't know, Lord Dracan or Nomad or something,
Yep.
it's not safe.
Speaking of Iron Man, we kind of touched on the topic last week. What will Iron Man be able to do in regards to group content in this specific piece of content?
Look at it longingly from afar. No, they will be able to group with other Iron Men as per the same as like raids lobbies.
Okay.
We've done it with Rago as well and some other group bosses.
We haven't tested it yet, so
No,
that might
it's on
just
the
be
list.
completely false. But it is on the test plan.
Awesome. Is there going to be any banks or anything like that inside the dungeon?
Do you want to take this?
Yeah, there's not going to be banks, but you will have a drop chest that is kind of like a checkpoint system.
Okay.
And there will be some small amount of supplies that are dropped. So even if you are dropping into the chest, you can, at different points through the dungeon, check it out and go, oh, I need some more swordfish maybe or whatever. Because we're not going to drop Rocktail soup or anything super great like that probably.
So, actually, now I'm going to ask this question. You're a big advocate of not dropping specific skilling resources in PVM situations. Is that correct? Can
I'm laying down the law.
Right. So, is this like kind of the thing that one of the first times we actually try to enforce that in that sense?
No, the idea came around about last Runefest,
Yeah.
and semi applies to the Lost Grove. It does drop some elements of it, but I think I've gone a bit further and tried to rule out absolutely all of the skilling things that you can drop, including even armor pieces with equivalent replacements that will kind of fit the same purpose. So like something to alch for money, something to disassemble for some components, stuff like that.
Awesome.
Yeah, if you've seen the mining and smithing documents as well, that's the same route they're going with, I think,
Yeah.
for drop table replacements.
Make skilling great again.
Elite skill, the dungeoneer outfit, is that going to have any advantages whatsoever in Elite Dungeons?
Currently not, but because it's been brought up late in development, there might be something that we'll add post-release. There'll be a few things that we'll go, do you know what? Elite Dungeons has had a really nice trial run and the players have had a really good few suggestions. So maybe a month or two down the line. Or Elite Dungeons itself is actually made up of 2 to 3 releases. The third release is dependent on the current schedule and player feedback. There will be a third release of some variety, but the way that the form that takes will be basically pending how the first 2 fare. So we do have a release in about 2 months' time at the end.
Right. So yeah, I was going to say let's talk about releases, and just for everyone watching, in case you're wondering when we're going to be ending, we're going to be ending in just a few minutes. But there's a couple other things I want to get out, just so you kind of an idea of what to expect, and so these guys can say everything they need to say. So kind of like a back and forth thing. But anyway, releases. Let's talk about that. What we're looking at here.
We're looking at end of June, beginning of July for the first one.
Okay.
The schedule is end of June. No, sorry, the schedule is beginning of July, but it might be ready 1 week early, something like that. So we're going to ship that. Then the second dungeon will actually be 1 month afterwards, which is a bold strategy. But generally, you're going to have a month of getting a feel for the Temple of Aminishi, and the second dungeon, which will be unnamed until we deem it acceptable, will be released 1 month afterwards, and there'll be lots of feedback from you guys so we can apply it. And that also means that we would potentially have time to add things like Garajo bonuses and stuff like that. Garajo.
I say Gareo.
Garajo. Well, you're
all wrong.
I haven't said it yet. I can't be wrong yet. I'm not going to try and say it, but it's fine. It's irrelevant. Yeah. Okay, I have to bring it up. So, 2 questions, and I think we'll leave it there because these are kind of like the big ones, and I guess kind of the sellers in that sense of this content. We mentioned tier 92.
We did.
Are we going any further in saying anything about it, or are we gonna just say that it's gonna be tier 92 for now?
So there are a number of rewards that we could talk about potentially. We don't necessarily want to talk about the tier 92. The tier 92 is coming. There will be more than one piece of equipment related to that tier, and there will be tier 82 drops, tier 88 items, tier 90 items are involved on the drop table. So there's a big range, and essentially, the tier 82. I mean, we can talk about the Masuda's War Spear, for example. We've talked about that.
Sure.
We've made an augmentable tier 82 war spear, which acts as a halberd, obviously, and it sits there in quite a comfortable niche position in terms of tier and accessibility. And that gives you a mid-range loot drop for GP. You know, if you're killing Masuta for the second or third
it's the
time,
nice surprise drop,
right?
Rather than the one that you're camping, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because there will be drops that you are there specifically for.
We're trying to kind of put value in at all the levels.
Yeah.
So, you're getting consistent, decent value. You're getting, oh, look, this is a nice surprise, but also, I know this T92 will drop. I'm going to sit and farm this dungeon for ages. When I get it, a lottery ticket. But you don't feel bad along the way waiting.
You'll be looking to finish the entire dungeon rather than going, I'm stopping at boss 2.
Yeah.
I guess one of the things that we obviously have to contend with is that trio groups can come in with tier 70, 80 armor and blitz this place. Solo, you're going to want top tier Telos stuff, and therefore we should reward those tiers of players appropriately. So that's why there's a nice 10 tier range, and it's not just armor and weapons. There are consumables and utility items as well on the drop table, and on the 2 reward vendors that we've made.
Is the Masuda's War Spear the same one Masuda's holding?
It is the same one, the very
Awesome.
same. It's basically like a new version of Guthan in a way.
Okay, all right.
And those vendors, there'll be dungeoneering tokens, so you can go and do Daemonheim and buy new stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I keep getting questions. This is five more, and then we're done. So we're gonna go with these 5. These
All
are
right. Quick fire.
kind of some of them.
Moderate.
Skilling / skill pets from Elite Dungeons.
Yes.
DG pet, yeah.
Will first broadcast for any significant events?
I was looking at this the other day. We might add one for Soreu, but currently no.
Cool. I'm going to come to you, actually. This is not related to Elite Dungeons. This is something related to that you tweeted a little while ago. Someone's been asking about it. So you tweeted about stackable Menophyte gifts and the right-click divination riffs.
Yep.
There we go. How are they coming along? Do you know where they're at?
Stackable Menophyte offerings, I think, are actually going through very soon, maybe the next update or 2. Because I've seen their jobs being updated in the system, but I still have no idea about the potion tooltips or divination rift configuration either.
There you go.
They are down to the schedule and QA and things out of my hands.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, other factors as well. Yep.
Because our team is actually, we're assigned to Elite Dungeons as a task, and I did all of those things mostly in TAP. So they're extraneous to the schedule and then have to be figured out in between other things.
Awesome. Why wasn't this incorporated as Mazcab Raids Batch 2? Why is it different in that regard? Because
it's not Mazcab.
Okay, so...
or raids.
Okay, so...
It's not raids either. We kind of wanted to separate it out because it's such a small amount of people in the team.
Okay, so obviously from a perspective, in case people that haven't done raids yet in RuneScape, how is it different in regards to raids versus Elite Dungeons? Just so people understand the difference here.
Raids is a big commitment because it's obviously a 10-man team. So you've got to get all those people together. They all have to be scheduling things as well because of the lockout. That's 2 days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
That is a thing as well. There's no lockout for Elite Dungeons. You can, back to
slam it out as much as you want.
Raids is absolutely right at the top end of PVM as well. We're pushing for the top end, but not quite up there with this.
It depends if you're solo. It's like the closer.
Sure,
the
absolutely.
More solo.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I feel like it's kind of common sense, but I feel like it's nice to explain it just for people obviously who are skilled
Yeah,
or who don't
The question
raids.
came from why I want more Mazcab. Let's face it, right?
That's fair.
We like
Yeah.
Mazcab. Why wasn't this Mazcab, right? We are following a different storyline. We're following a different PVM experience with different levels of accessibility. We are playing to a wider audience, not just like the 2% of players that have even touched raids, that type of thing.
Have you come up with a title for the collection log yet?
I believe the Temple of Aminishi one is...
Temple of Aminishi, right?
Yeah, it's Acolyte of
sorry.
Soreu.
Acolytes
right.
of
Yeah.
Soreu, yeah.
Yeah. That was placeholder, but it fits really well, so we're keeping it, I think. Yeah.
Awesome. And one final note I just want to mention before I forget it. There's a reward chest all the way through, correct?
Yes, there are, for example, in a dungeon with 3 bosses, there will be 4 reward chests. The reward chests are a way of accessing your loot inventory, similar to the Sophanum Slayer dungeon, and also they act as checkpoints. The first time that you engage in combat with a boss in the dungeon, you unlock the ability to teleport from chest to chest. So when you die, which you inevitably will, you can teleport back to the dungeon via Death's Hourglass. That will set a death hub for you, so you can just go straight back to the dungeon. And then you can teleport back to the first boss. Not a problem. It takes like 5 seconds to get back to where you were, so we don't hinder your progress.
Awesome. Right. Final one. Luck of the Dwarfs. Works, I presume. Luck of the Dwarfs recommended.
Yep.
And then the final point I want to mention, reward shops. Is there a reward shop-esque in this content at all?
Yep. The DG token one. There is 2.
So this uses DG tokens. Okay, right.
One is a kind of general meta extra DG shop.
Yep.
And the other is specific to Aminishi. And there'll be 2 more for each specific dungeon that comes out. So they'll have, more thematically flavoured rewards that are relevant to those places.
Awesome. Right. That is going to bring us to the end. Now, obviously, if you haven't watched the stream from the start and you want a kind of an overview of how Elite Dungeons came to be, where the idea of the project came from, and then we kind of dived into the art process, went into concept, environment, and concept, environment. I'll get it right one day. Concept, environment, and characters. So each had their own little section. Then we came over and talked about the content itself and what you can kind of be expecting. As mentioned already by Mod Orion, late June, potentially start of July for Elite Dungeons 1, which is the Temple of Aminishi. The month after will be the second one, and then the third one is...
The third one will be end of September, so that's actually 1 month between the first 2 and 2 months between the latter 2.
And I presume that's because there's quite a bit of time for people to kind of jump in.
It's because we're working on something big for next year that I won't disclose any information about.
Oh, well, there you go.
Unrelated to our team, so there's going to be a bit of a reshuffle. Yeah, that's basically it.
There we go. Well, let us know what you think of the stream, especially on the art perspective. We don't obviously do that often. On a personal perspective, I absolutely love them. I think we should do more of them. I feel like the art team deserve that recognition for the time they put in and obviously the content they come up with. But let us know what you think of that. But apart from that, thank you so much for joining us. At the end of the stream, we'll be firing out, in a moment, we'll be firing out RuneScape, which is the Nature's Balance sword that was made over Game Jam by the art team. There you go. So a nice little time to mention them. But apart from that, let us know what you think of the stream, and hopefully you've enjoyed it, because it's been an absolute pleasure for the last hour and a half. Really, really enjoyed it. So we're going to host the RS guy afterwards as well. Thank you for that, JD. So on behalf of obviously the art team who are on stream, and Mod Sova, Mod Chaose, and Mod Orion, thank you for watching. And apart from that, take care and have a good one.